Anything that befalls our life that overtakes us is only overtaking us because of our unfaithfulness and because of our ignorance of God's word. We'll always experience trials and tribulations. We'll always deal with challenges and difficulties. But none of them need to overtake us. None of what we go through has the capacity to destroy us while we're faithful to God, while we are true to the teachings of God's word. I want to suggest that we cannot define ourselves as God's people if we don't follow his word in the situations and the circumstances that touch our lives. If we're not following God's word in order to deal with the situations that come our way, then it's rather difficult to assume that we can define ourselves as the people of God. Hosea says again in verse number 6, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Do you notice he's not blaming our condition on Satan? Hello? Satan doesn't have any power over us as we yield faithfully to God's word. We can say the devil made me do it, but we know that's a lie. Because whatever I do against God's will is a product of my unfaithfulness to God and the unfaithful application of his word to my situation. You see, God doesn't do tit for tat. I know if you read the text closely, it seems like, God's people did one thing, so God did another that was equally difficult for Israel to handle. This is not tit for tat. How can God protect us from this fallen world? How can God protect us from ourselves if we don't live within the boundaries of his word? How can he do that? How can God take care of us? How can he provide us with the wisdom and the knowledge and the understanding that we need for the daily situations that touch us if we don't live within the boundaries of his word? And I don't want to, harp on Matthew 5, 6, and 7. But those expectations are indicative of what believers do. That's what believers do. I want you to sort of maybe, think about that a little bit as you credit yourself for being a believer. You might want to make sure that your ways are in harmony with Matthew 5, 6, and 7. And certainly all of these sort of righteous expectations that God has of his people. Because this is how saved people live. Matthew 5, 6, and 7.